equal to CD. So I can have, now the teams that I'm going to choose before I list them are going to be the following. So I can have WW, WD, WF, and WN. I can have DD. I'm just going to go ahead and do the repetition here real quick. I can have those. Now, I don't want to have WD because that's the same thing as DW, right? So WD is the same as DW. So the next thing that I'm going to have here is I'm going to have DF and DN. So I already have DD, I already have DF, and I already have DN. So I have FF. I don't want to have DF because that's the same thing as FD. So I do, however, want to have FN. Oops, not FW, FN, sorry. And then the NN, I'm done with that one because, NW is the same as WN and so on and so on. So then the ones that you are going to have are the ones inside that box. Now the next question is here, select two teams, order is important, and you can have repetition. So then again, I can have repetition. So I'm going to have DW. Oops, let me start off with WW here real quick. So I'm going to have WW, WD, WF, and WN. And so then the next one that I'm going to have is I'm going to have DD, and of course I can have DW, DF, and DN. And so the next thing that I'm going to have here is I'm going to have FF because I can have repetition again. I can have FD, I can have FW, and I can have FN. And of course I can have NN, NW, ND, and NF. And so here, these are all the possibilities that I can have for number 4. Now, number 6 and number 8, I have a penny, a nickel, a dime, and a quarter. So the best thing to do here is a tree diagram. And so if I start off with a penny, I can have this. So I can have heads here and tails here. Now, if I have the dime, once I have the penny, I have several possibilities, right? So that's going to be heads, that's going to be tails, that's going to be head, that's going to be tails. Now, when you do a tree diagram, it can get sort of, sorry, that's not a dime, that's a nickel. So I'm going to have the dime here. You can see how it can get kind of crazy a little bit here. Let me fix this one. And I can have heads, tails. This will be heads, tails, heads, tails, heads, tails. Let me fix this one here real quick so I can have it the same way. And so here's my dime, heads, tails. Now, once I have that, again, now I'm going to have the quarter. I'm going to go ahead and write it in a way that I can go ahead and show you what's going to happen here. So here's going to be my heads. Actually, these are all my possibilities. I'm going to just write them out this way if I can. You can see that it can get kind of crazy. So that's going to be heads, tails, heads, tails. Here again, I'm going to have heads, tails for that one. That's my third one. My fourth one is head, tails. My fifth one is head, tails again. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. My sixth one is going to be heads, tails. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 6 heads, tails, and heads, tails. And so it says, in how many ways can you get no tails? Well, the only way that you can get no tails is if you have all of them turn out to be heads. So that's for number 6. The only way that you can get is one way. Now for number 8, it says how many ways can you get exactly three heads, right? And so just to sort of clean it up a little bit here, if you think about this, I can have, right, these are my two possibilities. And then of course for that one is heads, tails. Heads, tails, I'm trying to list them here so you can see them. Again, I won't finish the entire thing, but just to give you an idea of how to do it. And so if I were to somehow, let me put these together. So that one goes there, that one goes there, that one goes there. Right, so you list them all, you connect them all somehow, and it gets a little bit tricky when you have a tree diagram. So this is how many ways can you get exactly 3 heads? Well, I can get here, let me list them this way here. So I have my penny, I have my dime. Sorry, I keep going to dime, it's going to be nickel. Dime and quarter. So if I get heads, tails, right? And of course, I can get heads, tails, heads, right? I can get heads, tails, heads, head. I can get tails, head, head. So you can see that the way that I can get exactly 3 heads are just like this, and it doesn't matter how you do it, but you can see how the tail sort of starts shifting over to the left until you're, all the way at the front. So these are the different ways that you can get exactly 3, which are 4 different ways. Now for number 10, it says how many different 2-digit numbers can you form using 1, 2, 5, 7, 8, and 9 with repetition. So that means that I can get a 1 and a 1. Now, when you look at this, what you want to do is you want to count how many possibilities you have. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you have 6 digits to choose for the first number, and since you can do repetition, you have 6 possibilities for the second one. So then you can actually choose 36 different ways. Now for number 11 and number 12, the difference here is that you have, for number 11, you have without repetition. So you still have 6 to choose for the first one, but you only have 5 for the second one. So for this one, you have 30 possibilities, so 30 different ways that you can choose a three-digit number. Actually, let me do that again. So again, so you have 3-digit number for the first one, and of course, again, let me just make sure that I do this right. So I can choose, so I can have 1, 2, 5, right? And so what happens here is that for the first possibility, you have 6, for the second you have 5, and then for the third you have 4. And the reason being is because every time you choose a different number, a different digit, you're going to get one less to choose from, and you have 120 different ways that you can choose that. Now if you do repetition, you have 6 for the first one, 6 for the second, and then 6 for the third. So then you basically have 6 to the third power, and then so if you do that one, you're going to end up with 216 different ways. All right. Number 14 is the last one that we have. And here it says you're going to roll a total of 7. So in other words, for number 14, you need a total of 7. So that's 7, and all of these, if you add the 2 die, the sum of both dies, you're going to get a total of 7. So you can see you can do it 6 different ways. Now, for number 16, it says roll a 3 on the red die. And so you're only looking for when you get a 3 the first time. So you got that one, 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 and you got that one because we listed red and then green. So of course here again you have 6 different ways. And so that's the lesson for 2.1. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me and I'll go ahead and answer any questions that you have pertaining to this particular one. Okay?